going on? Well, today is June 13, 2019. Roland Martin here, broadcasting live from Miami, 23rd Annual American Black Film Festival. Got a jam-packed show for you. Elizabeth Lederer, she, of course, the law professor, the one who prosecuted Central Park 5. She has decided not to renew her deal with Columbia University because black students made it clear they did not want her on that campus. Also, Sarah Sanders has resigned, White House press secretary. She's going to leave this month. We'll break this thing down with our panel. Also, we'll talk about Father's Day coming up, the impact between fathers and young girls. Also, folks, we'll show you last night's red carpet, Chaff, Samuel L. Jackson, Richard Roundtree, Jesse T. Usher, a jam-packed show for you folks. It's time to bring the funk. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the file. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. Yeah, it's Uncle Roro, y'all. Yeah, yeah, it's Roland Martin. Yeah, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best. You know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Hey, folks, our top story, Elizabeth Lederer, the woman who, of course, prosecuted Central Park 5. She is stepping down from Columbia University School of Law. She's here for decades as a lecturer, but because of massive protest by black students and the release of the Netflix series When They See Us, too much public pressure causing her to say she cannot return. Now, she was a woman who, if you look at that show, had doubts about Linda Fairstein and saying that those 5 individuals committed the crime. Well, she still moved forward to prosecute that case. Now, years ago, when a documentary by Ken Burns came out, there was also public pressure to get her to step down, but it had no impact. Columbia Law School, though, did remove a reference to the Central Park 5 from her bio. Well, now, way too much pressure being applied to her and applied to Linda Fairstein. Now, remember, Linda Fairstein, the woman who led the sex crimes unit of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, she's already lost her book agent. Her publisher had to resign from 2 boards as well. And so, Ava DuVernay's documentary, actually her series, is leading to huge changes when it comes to individuals there. The individual with the Central Park 5, they, of course, continue to put pressure, saying they need to pay for what they did for those young men being incarcerated for all of those years. I want to bring in my panel now to talk about this. First and foremost, Greg Carr, Chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University. He joins us there in Washington, D.C. As I said, I'm here in Miami. And also Michael Brown. He's the former Vice Chair of the DNC Finance Committee. Greg, I want to go to you first. This is really important because it shows you the power of media. These 2 women, Elizabeth Lederer and Linda Fairstein, they have made money. They have been celebrated for putting these young men wrongfully in prison. They are now having to pay the price.
They are. I'm a little concerned because we live in a country where today it's them, tomorrow it could be us. The academy is a strange place. And so when I read the letter from the Black Law Student Association, and shout out to them because people are being proactive. What you see is the university, and they had complained 6 years ago, as you said, and they kind of took something off her bio. But, she's working as an adjunct. She's not a tenured member of the faculty. So, that there's kind of a gray area there. And so that doesn't concern me as much, and I'm glad to see it. And certainly in response to this popular media surge we see, whether it be Mute R. Kelly and Being R. Kelly or now When They See Us, But, at Harvard a few weeks ago, you had a husband and wife who were forced out as deans of Harvard colleges, where they were residential deans, because the students decided that they didn't like the man because he was a lawyer who was on Harvey Weinstein's defense team. I got a problem with that. These are tenured faculty members of African descent. And so when we swing the sword one way, it's like, yes, a victory for righteousness, but that sword cuts both ways. And I wonder what this precedent begins to set when something comes out and somebody is forced to resign. that we perhaps support.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. And Michael, the bottom line is what you are looking at here. You're looking at the reality of justice. These two individuals have not had any blowback whatsoever. They both still have their law licenses. And based upon everything that we know, clearly the legal profession has not done anything to them. The city of New York still has not apologized. For the general public, this is the best way they can, in essence, exact revenge to say y'all must pay some price for wrongfully imprisoning, framing, and setting up these five young brothers.
Well, Roland, you know, it's interesting. The professor, who's much more profound than I am, and his answer was very profound. Mine is much simpler. And it reminds me of the segments you have on your show where white people do dumb things and then there are consequences and they get fired. This is exactly what you do on your show pretty much weekly. And so from my standpoint, it's like a reparation in some form or fashion, that there has to be some kind of consequence for acting like you acted however many years ago it was. And so I'm glad that they're starting to lose. There are things I certainly understand what the professor is talking about relative to this can come back and get us, and that and totally makes complete sense. But in this particular point right now, I'm glad they're getting some justice. And they got paid. So I know they got paid too, not as much as probably they should have, but at least they got something.
And Greg, again, nothing has really been done against them. New York has not apologized. Now, I was seeing Tamika Mallory and seeing her social media. They are now targeting DA Vance because he accepted $28,000 in contributions from Linda Fairstein for his re-election. They say anybody who took any money from her or Elizabeth Lederer needs to send that money, give it to charity, or give it away.
Now that I think is more appropriate. I think this is a great lesson in how we can wield political strength. And when it comes to the academy, or when it comes to something like that, freedom of speech, I think there may be some issues there. If I were a law student at that time, maybe I say keep her on the faculty. I'm gonna take a class and blow her up in there every day and force her to deal with it. But in the street, meaning dealing with money, dealing with votes, dealing with political formations and associations, I think Tamika and them are right on. Let's go out and eviscerate everybody politically and economically. And this is a lesson we learned from the period of Martin Luther King. The most effective weapon in the civil rights movement in many ways was either the boycott or the threat of the economic boycott. That is the Montgomery bus boycott. That shows you we can put that, starve them, because I can guarantee you one thing, and this is for sure. They're not going to starve because you got these billionaires out here, these right-wing racist billionaires that will write them a check, and that's just like what's going to happen to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Thanks, good job for lying. Here's $1 million, go sit on the beach for a while. She's not going to be put out of doors because she lost a job, even if they have to take her next book, buy 100,000 copies of it and put it on the New York Times bestseller list and throw it in the trash. They're going to take care of their own, so it's good that we are pursuing a similar strategy.
And again, you spoke of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, of course, Donald Trump today. Now she is stepping down as White House press secretary, and she's going to be leaving by the end of the month. Just the other day, there was a story where she said that she was not like being called a liar. Michael, bottom line is she's a liar who works for a liar.
And my understanding, and maybe you heard the same thing today, they're starting to drop hints that they want her to run for governor of Arkansas. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if 45 was just trying to drop it to start the conversation for her to run. But wouldn't that be a shame? And I hope whoever the Democratic nominee is absolutely wipes the floor with her and beats her badly. However, it's Arkansas. And obviously the president, 45, has a lot of support in Arkansas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with her political career, if she has one at all.
Greg, bottom line is she will not be missed. She consistently lied from that podium and cannot be trusted. And frankly, you look at Sean Spicer has not been able to get much out here. I doubt very seriously that Sarah Sanders has any credibility for anybody to pay her for her opinion.
Well, I'd be very surprised if she didn't end up as a paid contributor at Fox or Sinclair. And you, of course, Roland, you know, as a deeply informed historian, really, historical journalist for sure, you know that the practice of the White House press secretary having briefings goes back to the Eisenhower administration. This woman hadn't had a press briefing in 3 months. And the tragedy is that many in the press and many who consume commercial news, entertainment media have been relieved. I think she's a magnificent liar. I think that she fit Donald Trump's casting perfectly, from her physical appearance to her disdain and prevarication. I think that fit Trump's worldview. I think he's going to be lost without Sarah Huckabee Sanders sneaking off to talk to Fox and then walking back to the White House and pausing for 30 seconds to talk to the other reporters. I think he's going to be lost with her disdain for the press, particularly her disdain for black women like April Ryan. And I think that while, she won't be in the White House anymore, we haven't seen her in 3 months at a press briefing, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see her very shortly on Fox News as a paid propagandist tooling up for the 2020 election.
Again, Sarah Huckabee Sanders will be stepping down, and so trust me, she will not be missed by a whole lot of us because of what she had to say. And look, at the end of the day, Michael, what you have here is you have a lying administration. You have an administration that's what they do on a very consistent basis. They lie.
And they're not held to account because they're this so-called base, which I hate hearing about this base. Nixon had a base. Everyone has a base. But this particular base is untouchable, and it doesn't really matter, and they don't hold anybody to account. And what Senator McConnell is part of that whole, I guess he's part of the base, or the leader of the base, because what he's doing running the United States Senate is an absolute disgrace. But so no one's holding him to account. So it's kind of okay that these kind of things are happening. It's not going to change. There are 40% of people that like him, 40% of people that don't. This race in 2020 is about the 20% of the people in the middle. Hopefully, they'll come to Democratic side. We just have to wait and see.
Talking about the race, this race features a ton of candidates in 2 days in South Carolina. There's going to be a economic discussion hosted by the Black Economic Alliance. The focus is going to be on expanding economic opportunities for African Americans. And so we want to talk about that with Dr. Tony Coles, who is co-chair of the Black Economic Alliance. Dr. Coles, are you there? Okay, so guys, let me know when we get Dr. Coles. I want to go to Greg first until we wait to bring him up. How critically is it important, Greg, to have these topic-driven presidential forums? As opposed to having these large, unwieldy discussions where, frankly, you can't have any substantive conversation about any one particular issue?
Well, I think a lot of that's going to depend on the viewers. The way they've set these two up, these first two, having 9 on one night and 9 on the other night, and then mixing up the quote-unquote top-tier candidates, although how can you tell a tier, from the so-called lower-tier candidates, it's going to provide an opportunity for folks to engage in a substantive conversation. It'd be very interesting to see people who are policy wonks, who can translate fairly nimbly, like Elizabeth Warren, be in conversation with folks who have this broad kind of economic, kind of ideological agenda like Bernie Sanders, and then contrast that with a Kamala Harris or a Cory Booker. And I think in mixing that up, a lot is going to depend on how people come away from those conversations, how they assess how well they did. Now, some of this stuff is around race, some of it's around gender, and ultimately, I'm still trying to get my mind around somebody like Pete Buttigieg being in a conversation with anybody for president of the United States, or better or worse for that matter. But one thing's for sure, finally, as you come out of this first 9-person battle royale, if you ain't got no game, you about to get exposed. So I'm looking forward to this argument and this conversation.
Michael?
I think it'd be interesting, Roland and Professor, to see how, Elizabeth Warren, for example, is by far the best policy wonk of any one of the folks running. My bias relative to Vice President Biden and Senator Harris. However, it's going to, I don't know if Elizabeth Warren, you're only going to have like that 4 or 5 minutes to talk about your issue. It usually takes her about 20, 25 minutes to lay out her plan.
Sure.
And in this soundbite kind of mentality, you have to really train to get your points out in 4 or 5 minutes, knowing that you don't have 20 minutes. And so people may not get, and so if she gets cut off or tries to figure it out, so I think that's what it'll be interesting to see, and the professor is exactly right. The viewer is going to have to look and see how people come across in that 4 or 5 minute spot.
Well, I think it's interesting. It's all again. What's going to happen is, so the forum is going to take place on Saturday, hosted by Soledad O'Brien. It's going to air Sunday on BET. Obviously, it'll be the edited version, but it's going to air Sunday on BET. And so we'll see. We'll be, of course, here in Miami for American Black Film Festival. Then, of course, Sunday is also Father's Day. And so that's one of the things that we'll see what that conversation is like. Now, first of all the candidates are not going to be there with these forms. They could not accept all. But there are several candidates who will be in Charleston, South Carolina for the Black Economic Alliance for the presidential town hall. Again, it's going to be hosted by Soledad O'Brien. Gentlemen, I want to talk to you about this here. Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax has sent a letter to the district attorney in Boston and Raleigh-Durham saying that he wants an investigation launched into the sexual assault charges that have been leveled against him by two women. Now, what's interesting about this is that they released that letter. The attorneys for the women who accused him, they came out firing, saying that, well, he doesn't get to actually do that. That's not right or fair. But I'm going to ask you, here's a case where a guy has been accused of forcing one woman to have, forcing her to perform oral sex, another woman saying that he raped her, and both of those women have yet to go to the DA, even though statute of limitations still exist. What do you make of Justin Fairfax going on the offensive, saying, hey, DAs, I want an investigation. I want you to investigate these, because he's saying, if I did it, criminally prosecute me. If I didn't, I need to have my name cleared.
Is there, Roland, is there another strategy? Is there another viable strategy for Justin Fairfax? We have the attention span in this society of a fruit fly. These were some very serious allegations. We know how they hit. They came in the immediate wake of Ralph Northen's allegations, and we all but have confirmed from what we've read and what people have said and what has been pushed through that Northen and his team got together and figured one of the ways to get the heat out of them was to throw Justin Fairfax under the bus with some allegations that they were well aware of during the campaign. And now that Ralph Northam seems to have benefited from the short attention span of the American population, and Virginia in particular, begun to go on the offensive and rolling out some policy initiatives, here's Justin Fairfax in silence, and here has been virtual silence about the allegations. So is there any other strategy for him except to say, hey, wait a minute now? And of course, if he's making this assertion, he's standing firm in the conviction that I did not do anything illegal, and that whatever choices I made that were bad or good, this needs to be litigated in the courts. And where are these women? Finally, I would say, in some stories, there aren't any victors. You got black women, you got a black man, and this is a real problem. I don't even like the idea of people weighing in on this in a way that isn't filtered through the lens of a black community that has to deal with some very serious internal problems and challenges. But as far as I'm concerned, Justin Fairfax is playing the only card he has, which is what? Y'all gonna clear my name. Because believe me, if I want to run for anything else in life, it's going to come up again. So let me get out here now and go on the offensive. And if y'all gonna charge me, charge me. And that sister in Massachusetts, the DA, who offered to do the investigation, remember at the very beginning, I think she's more than willing to go along with this. We'll see how this unfolds. It's fascinating and it's tragic and it's complicated, but I don't think he had any other choice.
It's interesting. And so, again, Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax earlier called for the FBI to investigate. As Greg said, the district attorney in Boston, an African-American woman, she said if a complaint is filed by Vanessa Tyson, she would investigate. The lawyers for Tyson said she was going to meet with the DA. That was back in February. This is June. There still has been no meeting. The other woman, Marilyn Watson, has not met with the Raleigh-Durham district attorney, an African-American woman. Katz sent this letter out. Attorneys Deborah Katz and Lisa Banks, attorneys for Vanessa Tyson, sent a letter out saying that, calling what Justin Fairfax is doing a political stunt, saying that he shows his lack of respect for survivors of sexual violence. Then she says, as a former prosecutor, Lieutenant Governor certainly knows that potential charges of criminal investigations do not get to direct prosecutorial decisions. And so they go on and they say that, criticizing him, that they're not going to deter, said his letter to the district attorney appears intended to do the same in its crude effort to deny agency to survivors of sexual violence. His suggestion that women are liars unless they press criminal charges against their assailants places an unfair demand on survivors and shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the criminal justice system. Pursuing criminal charges is a weighty decision that the vast majority of survivors choose not to make for legitimate reasons. And so there's some other things that are in here. But what's interesting is that at the end of it, they say that Lieutenant Governor Fairfax's letter shows yet again that he is not deserving of his position of power. I have continued to raise this question, Mike, that Vanessa Tyson and Meredith Watson and their lawyers say that they will fully cooperate in an impeachment hearing of Justin Fairfax. Yet, if the statute of limitations is not up, why would they not meet with 2 black female DAs to say, launch a criminal investigation? So they're critical of Fairfax, but they won't launch an investigation. They won't even file the complaint. So I'm just trying to understand, if you want justice and there's no impeachment hearing, why would you not file a criminal complaint?
And what's interesting is, obviously, an impeachment hearing is a political hearing. So they accuse him of a political stunt, but they won't. And you can do both. They can say, hey, I want an impeachment hearing and we'll testify, and I'm heading up to Boston and to Raleigh. Neither of which have happened. The whole thing is very odd. So they want to come into a political arena and make the accusation, but they don't want to go to the legal track to make their accusation. Very odd, very confusing. I'm sure a lot of folks don't understand it, and that's part of the problem why the pendulum, I think, is starting to switch back. When people get accused, not that they didn't do it, and doesn't mean you don't believe the women, but that due process, when you have an avenue in a courtroom to have real due process, why don't some folks do it? I understand some folks are scared and don't want to put themselves out there, and we have to have respect for that. But just like you have to have respect for the victim, you have to have respect for the folks that are accused, because it may not have happened.
Well, and I think that's where we are, and so we'll see what happens. But clearly, Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax is demanding his name be cleared, and so we'll see what the next step is. Folks, first of all, I'm going to go to a break. When we come back here, Roland Martin Unfiltered, live from Miami, we're going to talk about Father's Day. You know what, that day where we don't talk a lot about? Oh, we'll spend a long time talking about Mother's Day, not Father's Day. But what is the important relationship between fathers and young girls, their daughters? That's next. Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, folks, they're back. MarijuanaStock.org has another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you know they raised a lot of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company, and of course they're excited by that. Now they have a new investment opportunity that is as good, if not better, than the last. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is a cousin to marijuana, of course, and then it has a higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all of the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Now, until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, that changed with the 2018 Farm Bill, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all of the plants, and this makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. You can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. All right, folks, all you got to do is go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org if you want to get in the game. And if you do so, do it now. All right, folks, Father's Day is coming up this weekend on Sunday. And we always talk about, of course, the importance of fathers and their sons, like fathers and their daughters. Joining us is clinical psychologist, Dr. Nick Alford. Dr. Alford, how you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have my father, got my mother, of course, one brother, three sisters. And so can you talk about how critical it is, the relationship that exists, a strong bond between a father and daughters?
Oh my goodness, it is so critically important. It is imperative. Fathers are really for girls, for young women. That's the first man we fall in love with. That is the man who shows us who we are, how beautiful we are, how smart we are, all of the unique qualities that we have. And most importantly, Roland, that is the man that teaches us how men should treat us and how we should relate to men. So it is so incredibly important.
And also, I think when you talk about how a bad relationship can be damaging. Look, I've got two nieces. They lived with, their mother was beaten, assaulted physically and sexually by their father, and my oldest, and they have a bad view of their father. Don't want to be around them. And as the godfather, I had to be fiercely protective of them. And I remember when he got out of prison, he wanted to reach out to them. And I asked him, I said, well, you still in the game? Are you still selling drugs? And he said, well, no, I'm not. And he said, I never was. I was like, first of all, dude, you lying to me. And I made it clear. I said, you're not going to spend time with my nieces at all. And I said, because I have to be protective of them. And so the flip side is that could actually have, that could have a negative effect and take girls years to go through and get over and deal with that trauma that was inflicted by that man.
That is absolutely correct. There is some interesting research that says even an absent father for a young girl or for a boy is better than having a father who is abusive, who is violent, who has substance abuse, who cannot be available in a healthy and adaptive way. So you are absolutely correct.
So, what resources would you recommend for a young father to help him and guide him through this, that prepares him for how he must cultivate that relationship with their daughter?
So obviously one of the best ways to learn is by seeing, and we learn through modeling, right? And so when you don't have that, you're at a distinct disadvantage. And so what I would say to any young father who is looking to learn how to be a father or to be a better parent, just sort of writ large, is to find other role models, and we can look for them and find them in myriad places, right? In our churches, in our colleges and universities, we have professors, in our own families, right? We may have grandparents or uncles who can be role models. Our Black Greek letter fraternities. So I think there are a number of ways. There are parenting classes. Many communities and courts, family courts, have these types of classes that can help young African American men.
All right, Dr. Nick Alford, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, Greg and Michael, I want to talk to y'all about this here. It really does piss me off that we spend so much time and energy around Father's Day. Greg, people could be literally in Australia or Thailand, and they will kill themselves to get home for Mother's Day. But they could be in the same city, in the same state Father's Day. Yeah, man, I'll see them come Thanksgiving.
That's true, brother. Mother's Day was created in Philadelphia, really. John Wanamaker department store. It's almost like a marketing kind of thing. It kind of emerged. And Father's Day came in many ways as a response to that. But we know in our communities, and I agree with what Dr. Alfred said, black men are used to not, getting all that affection. But then again, it's probably Father's Night every time a man come home and get that big piece of chicken, like my daddy did for many years. But what Dr. Alfred said, I said, I won't lose track of that. I think about the song, what was it, the Winstons, Color Him Father. There's a lot of ways you can be a father. And I know that on Father's Day, I get texts from, like say, former students. You know, I don't have any biological children. I got a couple of godsons, and I got my nephew, and I know what it means to be an uncle who's there for a male, and my nephew. You get texts, you get calls, and it's kind of an afterthought, but it's almost a running joke in the black community. You know, black man sitting up waiting on getting them calls for real. So, maybe it's a little sad, but maybe we can do something about it. But I don't know. Maybe you get those calls, Roland.
It is frankly offensive, Michael. I'm sorry that how Father's Day is sort of like a blow-off day. No big deal. Okay, fine. All right, yeah. I'll see you in 2 or 3 months, when the reality is fathers matter just as much as mothers.
Well, I tell you, the pressure on males, not just black males, to get to the store, get a card, get flowers, make reservation for Mother's Day brunch, which is, again, fine. That's just what kind of, if you're raised a certain way, that's just how you were raised, and it's important. But on Father's Day, it's more of an individual thing. What you're thinking, what am I going to do with my day? Not is it, I would love to spend time, I have 3 sons. I would love to spend time with them, and I do. But, if I get a call from 2 of the 3, that's a good Father's Day. Not that and then they'll be like, oh man, today's Father's Day, I need to text Dad. So yes, it is absolutely a different priority relative from the Mother's Day to a Father's Day. And whether that changes or not, I don't know. I remember growing up, my father used to say to us, Mother's Day is every day. Father's Day is just one day. Maybe you get what you want, maybe you don't. And so that's just how I was raised with my grandfather.
I got to push back on that. If Mother's Day is every day, Father's Day is every day. And I think, and I get it, but I really do. And I know somebody probably saying, well, why make a big deal out of this? Because the problem that I have is we literally have a culture that says daddies don't matter. In fact, let me tell you something. This actually happened. I was at with National Association of Black Journalists. We were in Chicago at our convention a number of years ago. So we're sitting at the table. There's about 10 people at the table. And at the table, there are 4 lesbians at the table. One of them, Latina, she was talking about how, me and my partner, me and my wife, we have a kid, and, we're raising the kid fine. We don't need a male influence. I don't believe in that. There were 2 sisters who were lesbian who said, hold on now, we disagree. We know the importance of our fathers. And they were saying that even if we have kids as lesbians, there has to be a male influence. The dynamic of the conversation was real interesting because these black women saw it totally different in terms of how they feel about this dynamic. I've had this debate even among heterosexual couples or individuals who are single who talk about the importance of a man. But I hear people say, oh, my mama was my daddy. No, she wasn't. Just like we assume that a father can't be empathetic, that a father can't be loving, that a father can't be compassionate. And so I would never say that a father is a mother and a mother's a father. No, you are who you are. But I think as a society, we literally have created this entire worldview that daddy is optional.
No, of course. But I do think that, a lot of that has to do with enslavement. I don't think there is such thing as an American culture. There are many different cultures in this state we call America. And when you look at African people, you see, we went through literally, particularly when the domestic slave trade explodes in the early 19th century, for about 50 years, we went through a process where breeding became the way that they created new people of African descent in this society. So you didn't know necessarily who your father was, but it had an unintended consequence of creating community mothers and fathers. Big mama and them, they weren't necessarily your biological kin. We still see that today. I'll give you one quick example. At graduation every year, it's very moving to see men embrace their graduate children, particularly the daughters. And I think, again, Dr. Alfred's research is very important in this regard. when you see these sisters who may not have grown up with their biological father, but then here come their uncles and here come their grandfathers, and you see the pride in these men. There's a certain energy when you get a bunch of men in a circle, the same way as this when you get a bunch of women. But when you see them come together in those moments of celebration, no one can say that men and fathers are not important if they've ever been in a space where you see the interaction of that energy in our communities that were attacked biologically, but then it expanded our definition of mother and father. So no, that's probably why those two sisters pushed back. They know what it means to have somebody who's in the father role that may not be the biological parent.
And that's the thing, Michael, that look, I don't have biological children, but I've raised 6 of my nieces. I have 9 nieces, 4 nephews. I've raised 6 of those 9 nieces, off and on, literally my entire marriage for the last 19 years. And the thing that's interesting, when you talk about that dynamic, when my sister and her 2 children, one was 5, one was 2, came to live with us, my wife and I only married about 6 months. And I was intentional in terms of how we interacted. Now, here's what's very interesting. My nieces couldn't stand when we were affectionate to one another in front of them. And I was like, well, first of all, get the hell over, it's my house. But the reason I was intentional is because one worldview, they saw a black man being physical with their mother. I needed them to see a black man being loving with his wife. I needed that to be corrected. And so when I took the job of the Chicago Defender, it was a hard decision because those formative years, 5 and 2, I would be away. And so in the household, it would be my sister, my wife, and then my 2 nieces. I was serious about the role, that male influence, and the role that we play. And so that's why, for me, it is deeply embedded in my psyche, in my worldview, the value and the importance of that man, and obviously from a perspective of a son. But I also see it in terms of fully accepting my role as a godfather. Because I tell people, a godfather does not mean that I'm there to give you birthday gifts and Christmas gifts. It literally means that if the daddy ain't doing his job, I am to step into the gap to serve that same role.
And I don't know if it's society or a much smaller part of society within your own home of how the dynamic is and how you're raised relative to affection from men. Now, I was raised in a family where the men were very affectionate. I mean, the day I went off to college, my father and I were still kissing each other and hugging each other. And that's just how we were raised. It wasn't abnormal. But when some of my friends would come over and they would see how my father and I interacted, they were like, wow, you guys, that was like, yeah, that's how, but that's not how they were raised. They were raised in it, not that it was wrong, because you can't certainly judge anybody on how they're raised. It's just different. And not right, and it doesn't make it wrong or right, but I was just raised, we were just very affectionate. So with my kids, who were 3 sons, but now they're at the age, they're like, Dad, please, please, please. But when they were younger, they knew that Dad was going to kiss them goodnight. They knew when they went off to college, I was going to kiss them goodbye.
Okay. So Michael, when your son say, Dad, please, 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 what's your response?
I don't give a shit. I still grab him, hug him, grab him in the neck, and I give him a kiss on the cheek.
There you go. And see, Greg, that's how I roll. All my nieces and nephews know. You walk your ass in the house. I don't speak to my brother or my 3 sisters. Your ass gonna hug me. You gonna greet me.
Well, you know,
and if you don't, you getting jacked.
That's a very black thing. You don't come in the house and not speak, man. Right. That's true. I mean, that's generally speaking.
No. You can come in the house and speak. Your ass gonna come hug me.
Oh, now see, yeah, you've taken it to the next level. Now I'll say this: I don't, we didn't do a lot of hug. I didn't hug my father a lot in it, but I tell you what, my father went to work every day of his life, and And I watched my father get up 4 in the morning every day for years. Some of my earliest memories as a child in Nashville, my father getting up, whistling, washing his face, going to bed, and then one time we didn't even have a car. He walked to work. And my father, as he became an elder and he transitioned in 2001, 79 years old, my father was the kind of man who didn't have a whole lot of words, but he demonstrated. And his brother lived across the street, my uncle, and they had 8 or 9 children. So, you know, when you saw these men, the affection they showed was through their dedication of what they did every day. My father was like that. And last thing I say is, and I really echo what you said about displaying affection in front of the children. My father and mother didn't kiss a whole lot in front of us, but you know how we knew that my father loved my mother loved my father? It was the little things they did to support each other as they worked. And we knew my father got mad. We knew when we were in trouble when he would look at us and say, boys, I love your mother. Now, that would usually come after we had done something in the house, and she said, I'm going to tell your father when he comes home, and he come in and say, boys, I love your mother. We knew that we had crossed a line with her that couldn't be uncrossed. But I'm saying there are a lot of ways to show affection, and sometimes it's the subtle things that let you know. And that's why I go to work every day, and ain't nobody going to outwork me, brother, just like ain't nobody going to outwork you, because you had a man in the house that showed you what it meant. And that was the way, in some ways, he displayed love and affection, because I know Reginald Martin Sr. was the same kind of man, and I see how hard you work. And I know a lot of that comes from you seeing that in one of the ways that love and affection was displayed for you.
And the thing for me is, it's like, I had husbands, but it's not like it was a lot. It's certainly not like how I do my nieces and nephews. But for me, it's also a sign that this is like sign of respect, and this is also what you're going to do. And in fact, Michael, I have a couple of my nieces, the 2 oldest nieces, both in college, and I had one who just graduated, 2 who graduated, and so one, like my niece, my niece Faith. So, like my grandfather, I saw my grandfather, and my different than my cousins or whatever, he would grab one and he would kiss them like 30, 40 times in a row. And so, instead, again, seeing that, I actually had done the same thing with a couple of my nieces. So Faye just graduated from high school, was going to Howard University in the fall. I did the same thing. She's like, no, stop. I said, girl, let me explain something to you. I don't care how old you get. I don't care how old you think. I don't care if you married. You understand. Your uncle is going to show a level of affection to you. And not this whole, but I'm older now, I'm this. And so it's like, no, this is not how it's going to be.
And that's how you and you know, it's interesting you had that conversation, because my niece is 12, and when she was really, really young, we were very still very affectionate. We were an affectionate family. But then she got to a certain age, and now I'm wondering, do I need to kind of pare back that affection a little bit? So I don't know if I'm overcompensating. Maybe I need to ask the doctor about if I'm overcompensating
right.
or not. But it sounds like maybe I need to have the conversation you had, which is, hey, I don't care how you look, how old you are, who you're dating, who you're going to the prom. Your Uncle Sonny is going to stay up on you and be affectionate with you. And maybe I should do that so then there's no confusion and she understands that. Doc, does that make sense?
It makes sense.
What Roland did makes sense. I just never thought about how to handle that.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Look, I mean, look, it should happen, and the reason, and again, I know that people, I'm having some internet issues. I can't pull up the social media. And I know people are saying, "Man, you're going way too hard on this." No, let me tell you something. I know a number of brothers whose dad is not here. Mine is 72. My mom will be 72 in November. They're still with me. Michael, you lost your father. Very, very, very public way in the plane crash. Greg, you lost your father. And what I say to people is how these brothers miss their fathers, which means you got to show that love when they hit.
That's real.
I think Greg, and I want the doctor to speak to this. Dear Greg, we've got to get away. And I totally understand your point, Greg, when we say dads, because Chris Rock said in his comment special, dads showed their value just by going to work and doing what they do. But I think for too many of us who are men, we greatly miss our fathers when they're gone. But because of this manhood code, we didn't want to show that affection and how much they meant to us when they were alive. And to me, that's not smart.
No, that's real. I mean, I'll give a very quick example. There's a brother who's on faculty at Morehouse College. He taught at Fordham University, City College in New York for a number of years. And for the years when I first met him at Temple University, he was actually on my dissertation committee. His name is Nate Norman. He retired from Temple and moved to Atlanta and then went right back to work. We all call him Pop. He is known all over the world as Pop. Pop see you the first 5 minutes, he gonna give you a bear hug. There's not a moment. He does this with his sons. He has 2 sons, including one who swam for the brother when you know the movie Pride, when they talk about Philadelphia PDR, Department of Recreation.
Yes.
The reason that Norman moved to Philadelphia is because his son Mike was an Olympic class swimmer. He was one of the guys who swam for him. And what he demonstrated, to your point, is that I show affection. And one of the reasons that we loved him and love him to this day, and he went to Atlanta and got a whole new crop of young people, these young brothers at Morehouse, is that he gonna put his hands on you. Now, in this society, that can be, that line gets a little blurred. So again, I'd ask too, Mike, Brother Powell, I asked Dr. Albert how we handle this in a society where we're taught now to ask permission and kind of mute. But you have some people, and I think about these men in particular, who are affectionate, who not only do that with their biological children, they do that with community children, and it creates a safe space. Pop hugs everybody, and he works, and he does all this work, and I've never seen anyone in the almost 25 years I've known him that's ever been offended by that, and he is consistent with it. And I think in this moment, we're in a social moment when I wonder how we protect that kind of affection showing, because it can be dicey, and I don't know what we do. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you can help us with it now.
I think that I agree. I think it's dicey. I think that we are living in a time, in a generational space where people are very unfortunately having to have difficult conversations with your youth, with their kids, about appropriate touches and inappropriate touches. And I think that it's sad. It saddens me. But I could see how a simple bear hug could be misconstrued. I can see that. And so, yeah, I think things have changed greatly generationally, and that's unfortunate.
Let me be real clear for all y'all watching. I got 9 nieces, 4 nephews. They asses will be getting bear hugs. They will get a bear hug. If I will kiss them on the cheek, I might sit here, give them a noogie on their head. Yep. I will play with them. I will, because I'm telling you, my paternal grandfather is gone. My maternal grandmother is gone. My maternal grandmother, I did not know my paternal grandfather. I did not know I know my maternal grandfather. I did not know my paternal grandfather. I did not know my dad's grandfather. And I can tell you this. I'm lucky to have both my parents still living. But when you talk to people and mamas and daddies are gone, those are the moments they remember. Those are the moments that they think about. They think about that love, that affection. They think about how they talk to them, how they with them. They think they might get mad at you. Then why you always playing? Why you always joking? But when somebody's gone, that's what they miss. And I just think that for a lot of us, I really and truly believe this. We have got to return to a period where daddies matter. And we've got to be willing to say it. We have to exhibit it. We must not apologize for it. We must stop this nonsense in major mass media where daddy is inept, knows nothing, can't take care of a kid, don't know how to fix food, and only mothers know how to do that. Because there's those of us who've had fathers who've been that important in our lives. I just think that we make a grand mistake when we marginalize that male figure. And that to me is dangerous. We should not marginalize mama. We should not marginalize daddy or that godfather or that uncle if they meant all that to us. And so I just think that's critically important for us to do. Hey folks, yesterday on the red carpet, Shaft, I ran into Sybrina Fulton. And I had a chance to ask her about, remember the Iranian sister in Texas who gave the speech, and she mentioned Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice. Well, Dallas Independent School District told you yesterday they apologized for cutting off her speech. Here's Sybrina Fulton last night remarking about that decision to apologize to that young woman.
Hey, darling. Good. Hold on real quick here. I got to ask you this here. We've been covering this story. Dallas Independent School District has apologized to the young woman who mentioned your son and Tamir Rice. They said that she should have been allowed to give her speech. Your thoughts about them apologizing to her by cutting her off?
No, they definitely should apologize to her. They should have. And I appreciate them apologizing because they're admitting that they're wrong, and they should have let her finish her speech. I gave her a platform. I let her finish her speech. So on social media, I posted the end of her speech.
For me, I was bothered by the principal, who's of Eritrean descent, somehow saying that by her mentioning Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice is going to incite white folks. I'm like, they need to hear it.
Yes, it's true. It wasn't anything that she was saying wrong. If you listen to the entire speech, they know that she wasn't saying anything wrong. So let our young people speak up. We need that.
You also run for office.
That's right. Miami-Dade County Commissioner here.
When is the election?
2020. August 2020. Yeah.
All right, then, so why do you want to run?
I want to run because I feel like I can be a voice for the people. And so I'm a people person, so I feel like I can give back to my own community.
All right. Always good to see you, darling.
Okay, good.
All right, you take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right, then.
All right, then. So it's great to see Sybrina Fulton there on the red carpet. And certainly appreciate all that she's doing. First of all, I want to thank Greg and Mike for being on the show today. We're going to end the show, folks, last night from the red carpet. We, of course, broadcast last night. Shaft premiered here at the American Black Film Festival. And we had a chance to catch up with a whole bunch of members of the cast. And so I wanted to have that for you again. And y'all need to stick around because when you listen to, I talked to Jesse T. Usher, as well as talked to Richard Roundtree about Shaft and black manhood. Y'all don't want to miss this. And so we're going to go ahead and play it in the show. First of all, folks, I'm here in Miami. We got some more stuff we got to cover. We've been having some amazing interviews. Anthony Anderson, Reggie Hutland, all kind of folks we've been talking to. We got some interviews tonight we have for you tomorrow, as well as all next week as well. Don't forget, folks, please support our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support this show, to make this show possible, to allow us to be able to do what we do here, be able to broadcast remotely, be able to bring you stuff that nobody else is doing. We talk about this all the time, Greg. Bottom line, there's a lot of people here who are shooting stuff. But look, there's nobody else broadcasting live. There's nobody else broadcasting live from the red carpet to our audience, because we're about showing you black excellence in all ways. That's why we do Roland Martin Unfiltered. So please go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Sign up today for our Bring the Funk fan club. You can use Cash App, PayPal, Square. We got all of that once you support us. So we're going to close the show out right now. Again, here is the red carpet last night. Shaft, directed by Tim Story.
What's up, man? What's going on?
I don't know, man.
You all good?
I'm trying, man.
All right. Well, first and foremost, to be here, Shaft is premiering, but we don't have John here. It's got to be bittersweet.
It is. It hurts my heart, man, because John and I talked. He said, "Tim, do your thing. Make sure it's your own." And it's like, that's a little pep on the back. Went out and did it, and I think he would have really loved this, because we have a little bit of his footage in it, and we used some of his dialogue. I mean, we really gave it like a John wink wink, and it hurts my heart that he can't see it.
Now, I got to ask you this here. Folks have been losing their mind on my social media pages because they think the trailers have been too funny. And I'm like, y'all, Shaft, it was always funny. So I'm like, why y'all, folks have been really tripping.
Well, that's the thing. Look, we gave it some entertainment. We gave it some humor. But look, we never disrespect Shaft. He's just as cool as he's ever been.
It's a lot of ass whooping.
Oh, it's a lot of ass whooping. He takes some people out. So if you're worried about whether it's edgy and Shaft-like, it is, but we also give you like a lot of humor.
All right, then. So tell me about Jesse T as the next in line.
Jesse T. Usher is the next in line. He doesn't start off where you might think a Shaft might start off, but he gets there in the end, and he'll make everybody proud. And he's such a great addition to this Shaft franchise.
All right, baby, always good to see you.
Always.
Keep doing your business, Doc.
Thank you, man.
All right, absolutely,
Okay.
appreciate it. How you doing? Y'all good?
How you doing?
Baby, hold on. She walks up, she's like, hey.
Because I know you.
It's like you look like people in the grocery store. They look at me and go,
Hey.
they go, hey. I'm go, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So first of all, let's talk about this film. A lot of folks are hyped for it.
It's amazing. It's like, this is crazy. So unexpected. Like, I knew it was going to be a huge deal, but this is much more than I thought it was going to be.
Well, what you also have going on is you got, and a lot of my people on social media have been really tripping. They're not happy with the comedy in the trailers, but I keep saying, but if y'all go back and look at the previous chefs, they were all funny. There were funny lines in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there was always that kind of humor, and this is just sort of taking the humor to a different level, which I think is really necessary, and add something completely different to the film. And it's just funny and fun. So I think there's enough for people to be satisfied with. They're going to really like it.
Well, I was on a plane, and I was coming here, and I had my iPad, the previous shaft, and so when Samuel L. Jackson was beating Mookie, or whatever, boy Malik, whatever, who's in the ring, I was laughing. And I know it wasn't a funny scene, but I was cracking up on the plane, so I don't know why people are tripping.
That says a lot about you. I'm just saying.
Hashtag team whip that ass. I was laughing.
Hashtag go for it. Hashtag I get to wheel the bat, so, I'm good.
Well, look, we're looking forward to it, and of course, you got to work with some great people.
Yes, I did. I mean, that's like working with Sam is a dream. He's an icon. He's a legend, and that kind of stuff is what we hope for in this business, to get to work with people like him.
All right, then. Well, I got a chance to play golf with him, and so
Yes. Everybody gets to play golf with him.
Come on out. Grab the club. Let's go.
Except I don't play golf. But I could play golf if I wanted to, I guess.
You can putt. Don't matter. Drive the cart. Play the music.
No, I don't putt, and I don't drive the cart.
Okay, but you have to putt in golf because when you get to the green.
Now, right? That was Benny.
Yeah, but you got to putt.
I know. See? That tells you how much I know about golf.
See? Well, so, okay, you come hang with us, but, all right, just play the music.
Okay, you got it. I'll do that. Lots of salsa music, blaring.
Oh, yeah, I got 10,000 songs on iPod. We good.
We're good.
What's good, senior? Looking forward to the movie.
Thank you. You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it.
All right, then. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. How's it going, brother?
How are you?
You all good?
Yeah, I'm maintaining. I watch you on the YouTubes.
Well, we try to give him a little help.
I like your little round table too. The red bone sister with the glasses, very informative.
Red bone sister with the glasses.
Yes, older lady.
Oh, Julianne Malveaux.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, when I tell her that, she gonna be hyped.
I'm an admirer, man. She speaks very well too.
Well, man, look, we were looking for this. We gotta have you on to talk some stuff.
I would love to come on.
I'm gonna get your information when we go inside.
I appreciate
Real
you.
quick,
Yes.
this movie here is a lot of testosterone in this movie.
Yeah, it is. But what you gonna get is Shaft, and now you got 3 generations of Shaft. Oh, the innuendo alone, right?
Are there enough women in the movie for all those chaps?
I think Regina Hall holds it down for the majority of women. We don't need to see no more except her.
All right, then.
That's what's up.
Man, good seeing you.
Good to see you.
I'm looking forward to it, and then we'll connect a little bit later.
All right,
Okay?
Roland.
All right, baby. Here we go. I told you.
Baby boy, what's up?
What's going on? First of all, how you come out here doing Shaft looking like one of the 5 heartbeats?
Yo. I feel like that era is kind of synonymous, you know what I mean? I could just channel that era and be on point.
I ain't know whether to say 5 heartbeats out in the table for 4.
Oh my gosh. Nah, 5 Heartbeats was right. The 5 Heartbeats was right move. I tried to get your look a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I knew you.
Well, see, that's an ascot.
Yeah, I needed the ascot. I ain't get one.
Should have called a brother.
I should have. I knew you got plenty of them for me. I know you had plenty of them for me. Next time.
Well, see, I don't wear it down here because, see, I figure I'm on the linen. No, I can wear it when it's hot, but I'm going to hit the linen.
Oh, yeah. No, see, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. The pink linen's a good look on you. Although the ascot is your classic.
Right. But so I'm going to bring it back out because, see, I set it down because folks were expecting it, and I can't have folks expecting it.
You're absolutely right about that. You got to shake them up sometimes.
I hit them with the African stuff at Essence Fest last year. They lost their mind.
They ain't know what to do. Don't buy it.
So, baby, what's going on, my man Richard Roundtree? Is he a worthy heir to the Shaft mantle?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
He's got the last baton. He's got the last leg. It's on him.
Now,
bring it home.
now, I got to ask you this here, because somebody will be 77 next month. Yet when he walked into the room, all the women will still, I mean, does it make you feel a little inadequate when you like,
Heck no. This is Shaft right here. This is the original Shaft. Absolutely not. It would make me feel less than coming onto this project if that didn't happen. But the fact that it does, it makes me feel even better.
This young brother can hold his own. I'm so proud of him.
Thank you.
To see the way he evolved and handled his shit.
Go ahead. Don't worry about it. My show's called Roland Martin Unfiltered. We can cuss. I own it.
Perfect.
To see him handle his stuff and his transition was a beautiful thing to watch. And my son overseeing what he was doing, and then the two of them learning from each other from different points of view, the millennial and old school, and I just sat back and watched.
Now, I'm going to have him tell this story, because I tell this story all the time, where your daddy told you. I use this in speeches all the time. Because you used to be bothered with people calling you John Shaft, and your daddy had to let you know something. Tell everybody what your daddy told you.
He says, son, a lot of people leave this earth not being known for nothing. Shut up.
Sounds about right. Sounds like something my dad would have said.
And ever since then, you've embraced John Shaft.
Indeed, yeah. There are days when I get a little full of myself, but the bottom line is, at this point in the game, and I'm gainfully employed, and this guy has legs, and my sister is standing over there with my niece, and she says, "Hey, Johnny Roundtree." Oh, all right. It's all good. Good.
Father's Day is this Sunday.
Hello.
And I want both of y'all to speak about this. Shaft for me has always been about black manhood. Cool, confident, smart, sophisticated, sexy. And that image is important to have that kind of brother on the big screen.
Absolutely. No, 100%. I agree with you. You know, when we talk about black excellence, we talk about manhood, we talk about father figure, questionable, but at the same time, this film clears all that up. And what you get to see is the three generations of that same character come together and find common ground and create a man in this new generation of millennials. Kind of teach him what it means to hold that level of respect and community. You know what I mean? Which is something that we can argue is missing in today's young men. So it's nice to see the older gentlemen come in and clarify that and teach him that there's something that you need to take from the generations before you.
I think he pretty much said it. The difference, what I would add to it is where we come from and all the history and being a man and passing that on to the younger generation. And there is no one, to my knowledge, that can pass that on better than Sam. You feel me?
All right, Richard Roundtree. Always good seeing you, baby. You my man.
Pleasure to see you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, I know we're going to hit some spot again this time.
Yo, wherever you want to go, man, you can ride with me anywhere after last time. We good.
What's up, baby?
So what you shoot today? I know you played.
I did not play. Flew here.
Can't believe it.
Dude, came straight here to do my show, and now we're doing it out here.
Horrible.
You know, work is work, you know.
It is. You know, work is like, I was actually home for 2 weeks. And I actually got to play golf for 2 weeks. I had a breakthrough last week.
Really?
As soon as I had the breakthrough, I shot under 77 for 5 straight days.
Damn!
And then I had to start doing this.
Well,
and I'm going to be out for another 2.5 weeks, so that revelation is going to be gone when I come back home.
Like whatever the hell you figured out, I'm going to forget it.
Johnny Gill's going to be happy. He's going to be like, gone now.
Well, that's easy money right there.
Most times.
I mean, you know.
No, Johnny. You are the champ, as you say every morning when you show up.
Right,
You're the champ.
Right, but when you get the 19th hole, you're not.
Yep. Song is number 2 on the charts.
If you want to
kill it, baby.
If you want to mess with him, just say, so Johnny, tell me about when you pull your ass muscle at the Jeffrey Osborne golf tournament.
I didn't know about that. Okay, all right.
No.
All right.
How did you pull your ass muscle?
That's my new one. All right, that's my new shit. I'm gonna ask
trying to run the first base.
I'm gonna ask him when it's in his backswing too.
You say, Johnny, how did you actually pull your ass muscle?
You want to talk about the movie?
Yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen it. That's what I'm looking
Oh,
forward
you
to.
gonna watch tonight?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yes. First, okay, you got to answer this here. All these people on my social media page have been acting a fool saying it's too much comedy. I keep telling everybody, y'all, all of the shafts have been...
right now? There's never too much comedy for the times we're living in right now. Believe me. Anything that gets you out of your head and out of what's going on out there for even an hour and a half, 2 hours, laugh and have fun. Sorry. What's too much comedy
in the
anyway?
last shaft.
Well, there's always humor.
Right.
I was funny when we need to be funny, and things happen that are funny. Jeffrey was hilarious. Jeffrey killed it, and you got to have a good bad guy to have a good shaft.
The shaft get more ass in this film than the last one?
Yes, immediately. I made sure.
Because the last one you talked.
I was not a sex machine for all the chicks.
You were talking.
I wasn't a sex machine for none of the chicks.
You were flirting last time.
What is that?
You
What
were
is
like-
that?
it was like
Do you want
intimating.
do you want the LD or do you want to be held?
Can you come by? I'm open Monday, Tuesday, every other Wednesday.
John wrote that, and I'm telling you, it's my duty to please that booty was the corniest thing I'd ever read in my life that somebody wanted me to say, and he said, "You can make it work," and just walked off. So I'm stuck with it, and people loved it.
There you go. So it wasn't that corny.
So he knew.
There you go. Man, always good to see you.
Thank you, bro.
All right then.
My pleasure.
Always,
Enjoy this
y'all.
movie.
I'll send Sam a text. He'll be like, "Oh, I'm in Italy. I'm in Uzbekistan.
I'm gonna be in Italy Saturday."
See, I told you.
Yep.
Tell the wife hello, man.
I will, bro.
All right, baby.
All right.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.
Martin.
check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.